welcome to the final preview for the Scholomance Academy. Let's jump straight into it. We got about 30-ish cards. So we got the Shield of Honor. So the Shield of Honor is a dual class spell for either Warrior or Paladin. Give a damage minion +3 attack and Divine Shield. I honestly really do like this card, because for 1, it's 3 attack and Divine Shield. Hand of Protection is just Divine Shield. The only thing is it has to be damaged, which really isn't that difficult for the bigger minions, which is generally probably what you're going to want to put it on anyway. And it can deal with stuff quite easily then, too. So I like it. It's got good potential. Shifty Sophomore, 4-cost, 4/4 rogue minion. It has stealth and spell burst. Add a combo card to your hand. I think it's quite strong. Stats are fine with the stealth, and because of the stealth, it's able to kind of hide back until you maybe get that spell burst off. So you're maybe going to be a little more passive with it, and you might not use it until you get that spell burst off, which is helpful then, because then you can for sure get that extra value out of it then too. So I think it's okay. Smug Senior, 6-cost, 5/7 for neutral. It's got Taunt and Death Rattle. Add a 5/7 Ghost with Taunt to your hand. Honestly, I don't think this card is that great. I think it's a bit overpriced, honestly. Like, I'd rather... Like, an example I give is compared to Boulder Fist Ogre. Boulder Fist Ogre is same cost, and you're playing against a mage. Boulder Fist Ogre can hit this guy, and then the mage can use the hero power to finish it off. And then you play the next 5/7 taunt. Boulder Fist Ogre runs into it, and then Fire Blast from the hero power finishes it off again. So their one minion that cost them 6 just took out your 2 minions that cost 6 each. So 12 mana, basically. Not good at all. Yeah, it's kind of like, it's got health, but if you're playing against a mage with a Boulder Fist Ogre, it's just better. And Boulder Fist Ogre is actually not bad, but it's just not used much anymore. Because there's stuff that's better. Smug Senior, there's stuff that's better. Sneaky Delinquent, 2-cost, 3/1 stealth. Death Rattle, add a 3/1 Ghost with stealth to your hand. It's okay. Easily can take out any target that you really want to with, since it just kind of sits there with stealth. Anything with 3 or less health, you can just take it out then. It's fine, I guess. Sorcerer's Substitute, 6-cost, 6/6. If you have spell damage, summon a copy of this. And it's neutral. I actually very much like this card. Most likely we'll see play in, I'm guessing, either Mage or Shaman. But it's got a lot of value. Like, spell damage is quite common to just have, I think, in a Mage deck. So you throw this into a Mage deck that has spell damage. Got the spell damage on the board. You throw this out. For 6 mana, you just got 12/12 worth of stats. It's good. Strong. I don't see any downside. Like, if you don't have the spell damage, it's just a 6-cost, 6/6. Not amazing, not great. But you're probably not going to play it then until you have that spell damage. Which is a whole lot of value. I like it. We got another Soul Fragment card. So we got Soul Seer. Deal 3 damage to a minion. Shuffle 2 Soul Fragments into your deck. which is pretty decent, I think. It's basically dealing 3 damage, and then at some point you're going to be healing 4. Or you can destroy soul fragments to do other things, which are always very strong effects as well that are done. So I think a very strong card. Very comparable to Drain Soul, I think is the closest comparison that you can do. Which is deal 2 damage, life steal. And it costs, I think it costs 2. Drain Life's a bit weaker, which really isn't played like at all because Drain Soul is just flat out better. Alright. This lady, the Sociologist. Oh, I see what you did there. Sociologist. Heh. That's... Oh boy. And then however you would pronounce her name. Malicia. That's what I'm going with. Battle Cry for each soul fragment in your deck. You summon a 3/3 soul with brush. It's a 7 cost 5/5 for either Warlock or Demon Hunter. And as you can tell, it is a legendary. It's actually really nice because it doesn't say that you destroy those soul fragments. It's just, hey, you got them in your deck, you get 3/3 souls for each one in your deck. You don't destroy it and do a thing. It's just you have them in your deck, you get these things, which is very strong. I think more likely going to go towards the well, Warlock can use it more of controlling to clear out the board, and Demon Hunter can use it more aggressively. But yeah, they have Rush, but it's a lot of stuff on the board your opponent now has to deal with, and then next turn you just go face with like all of them. I actually really, I think it's got potential. I think it's good. If your Soul Fragment type deck is like a thing, then it will be good. Soul Shard Lapidary. 5 cost 5/5 for Demon Hunter. Battle Cry for a soul fragment in your deck. Give your hero +5 attack this turn. Super strong, especially for Demon Hunter where they're generally aggressive or they do stuff with gaining attack with your hero. Stuff like that. Makes sense. Soul Fragment, you'd rather have the attack than heal a little, because I see Demon Hunter as being quite aggressive. I don't know if they actually are. I should probably look more into it, but I just see them as a very aggressive class. So I think very good card. Speaker Ghidra, 3 cost 1/4 for Shaman or Druid, legendary. Rush and Wind Fury. Spellburst gain attack and health equal to the spell's cost. Very good, very strong. Even if you play this and then just one spell, it's basically gaining double the attack because it has that Wind Fury. That Wind Fury with it is very good. If you want to risk it, you can play it and save up for a 10 cost spell to play the next turn, which then he will be in 11-14 with Rush and Wind Fury. The rest you won't care about at that point, but it'll have that Wind Fury, where you can do 22 damage with that turn. That is really good. Wind Fury makes this very strong because of gaining this stuff. So I think it's very good. I like it. I think it is like just really good. The Sphere of Sapience. At the start of your turn, you look at the top card. You can choose if you want to put it at the bottom of your deck, and then you lose 1 durability. So you either take the card that it shows you, where you don't take the card and you put it at the bottom of your deck, lose 1 durability, and pick a new card, and then decide if you want that card or not. Otherwise, you put it at the bottom again. And you get four durability, so basically 4 times you can put it at the bottom. Put a card at the bottom of your deck. It's very strange because it is a neutral weapon, so any class can use it. I'm still very iffy on this weapon. It has potential, but it's just, what if it's like the last card that you draw? It just feels bad. It doesn't do anything then at that point, and just so it can be good, but I just don't know if it's really worth enough. Like, it's taking a little bit of the randomness out with this card, but still, I don't think it does enough. Spirit Jailer. 1 cost, 1/3 demon for Warlock and Demon Hunter. Or Demon Hunter, I should say. Battlecry, shuffle 2 Soul Fragments into your deck. Very good, I think, for both of them. Getting those Soul Fragments in your deck early to activate some of that stuff is very good. 1 cost, 1/3 is very good basic 1 cost stat line that we see now. And it's a good stat line. So I would say this is a good card. Steward of Scrolls. 5 cost, 4/4 elemental for neutral. Spell damage +1. Battlecry, discover spell. Very strong, very good. I just flat out really like this card. Getting that spell damage is always good. Getting a spell when you also play it is also a really nice bonus, and it's an elemental. So I think this very much fits into either Shaman or Mage, which are the 2 most likely candidates to even use this card anyway. Mage cares a lot. Well, Mage and Shaman both care about the elemental tag as well, along with the spell damage, and they would like that spell. So I think very good for both of those classes, especially. So, very good card. 5 of the Fittest. Druid, 10 cost spell. Give +4/+4 to all minions in your hand, deck, and battlefield. Very good way to just outbeat your opponent in anything that they do. Like, after you play this, any amount of mana that your opponent plays, if they're spending all their mana on minions and you're spending all your mana on minions, yours are going to flat out be better because they are now buffed by a good margin. Like, the best time to use this is when you can buff some of your minions on your board to clear out stuff that your opponent had on the board, so it doesn't feel like a waste of a turn. And it just gives a lot of good value to all of your minions throughout the rest of the game. You maybe want to get it out as quickly as possible too, like straight on turn 10, but the situation may not work in that way that you want it to, where you can play it on that 10th. You might have to wait a few more turns before you can actually get that benefit. And it of course goes back to like Ramp Druid, and hey, they play bigger stuff than you. In this instance, they flat out will also play bigger stuff than you, no matter what. I like it. Teacher's Pet. 5 cost, 4/5 beast for either Hunter or Druid. Taunt and Death Rattle, summon a random 3 cost beast. This is a normal 4 cost stat line, but it also has Taunt and then a random 3 cost beast, which is generally fine, but sometimes you can get some bad ones, like you just pull out an Iron Beak Owl is not great. Like your normal, when you pull out a 3-cost beast, the first one that always pops to mind for me is the Iron Fur Grizzly, a 3-cost 3/3 taunt. Very basic and probably about what you're expecting, which makes this still relatively worth the cost. So I think it's well costed for what it does, especially. So, pretty good card. Tidal Wave. So we're going surfing. Apparently shamans like to surf. It's the newest craze for the shamans, you know. It's an 8-cost spell. It's got lifesteal, which is really nice. And you deal 3 damage to all the minions on the board. Gotta remember, so it's got that same effect as Earthquake does, where it does it to everything. So it's such a weird card because it's in like an odd situation where you want to use it to wipe out all your opponent's stuff on the board. Wipe out. That wasn't even intended. Jokes. Like, you want to use it to take care of all the stuff on your opponent's board. But also you want to maybe have taken damage because the card also has that lifesteal. So then it's in that weird, like, gray area where it's like, do I want to play it before I take damage? Or do I want to take damage and then play it? Where now he's also probably had an opportunity to maybe buff them a bit more, or get rid of some of the smaller ones, or whatever the situation called for. So I don't know. It's just in a really weird spot. But let's say you're just in a bad situation. It's a good card to like top deck. If you're just at top decking stuff and your opponent is ahead, you top deck it. Works out probably very well in like any of those scenarios. But if you have it beforehand, it's like, do I want to use it? I don't really get the heal out of it then, but it would do some good work. So it could be okay. Tour Guide. 1 cost 1/1. Battlecry, your next hero power costs 0. So whenever the next time you use your hero power, costs 0. It doesn't say your hero power for the turn costs 0, like with Water Boy. I don't remember the exact wording of it, but like, this is the next time you just use it. Which could be the turn you play him. Or you might wait a turn or two, where the situation is a lot more useful for the hero power then. But, he is a very small minion. It's a 1 cost 1/1. Is it really worth getting your hero power for 0 to for sure lose? Well, not for sure lose early game. It's not guaranteeing that you lose the early game, but you for sure will lose the first combat encounter of a 1 cost and a 1 cost. Because yours is just going to be worse. And when you do that, do you want to use your hero power to save the encounter? Which then really, what was the point of it? I don't know. I'm just not seeing it. Not seeing it. Trick Totem. 2 cost 0/3 totem for Shaman or Mage. At the end of your turn, cast a random spell that costs 3 or less. I believe this is the first totem. Nope, never mind. I was going to say, I think this is the first totem that isn't in Shaman, but there's Serpent Ward. Most people forget about it because it's not a good card. Because it's not. Anyway, at the end of your turn, you cast a random spell that costs 3 or less. If you can keep this alive it can do some work, but it also can work against you. So it's putting a lot of randomness into the game that probably didn't need to be there with this. It just adds like an extra amount of randomness slash luck. So whether you want that or not, sometimes it can work great. Sometimes it can probably do terrible. Like it frostbolts itself. Like how does that help? Nothing. Basically just wasted 2 mana on your trick totem and then it just killed itself. But it could also buff stuff, or it could kill your opponent's stuff, or something. There is lots of directions that it can go. But I just don't think, for example, in like a tournament setting, it is a good choice because it adds too much randomness that you don't want. In a tournament setting, you want to have your deck that you specifically built with those specific cards that probably don't have any randomness, or at least the least amount of randomness as you can have in that deck. This adds more randomness, which you do not want for like a lot of tournament stuff. We got the True Aim Crescent. 1 cost 1/4 weapon for either Demon Hunter or Hunter. After your hero attacks a minion, your minions attack it too. I honestly not the biggest fan of this card. I think it works a lot better for probably Hunter, even though I don't even like it for Hunter either. Because it's not, because Demon Hunter, I always, or at least I think it's always quite aggressive, and taking the time to attack a minion that then all your minions attack takes more time away doing that than attacking the face like a Demon Hunter would do. So, and it's just, it has 4 uses, but when I attack with a weapon, I'm just generally just finishing it off with the weapon. And this also only has 1 attack, so it's just like, it's basically like you're taking damage, so all your minions also can hit that. It just seems weird. Doesn't really seem to like help that much. I'm not the biggest fan of it. It's time to butcher up a name, that's for sure. So we got a Paladin Legendary, and it costs 312. Turalyon the Tenured. He has Rush, and whenever this attacks a minion, you set the defender's attack and health to 3. So anything he attacks, he kills. Most likely, this is going to be a big target that your opponent will go for after he gets his first attack off, which will leave him at a 3/9. He's not guaranteed to get every single one of his attacks out. He most likely will get 1 or 2, and then he'll probably be gone. He's just, like, he can turn big stuff really small and then kill it. Or he can turn small stuff a little bigger and then kill it, which then just ends up hurting him. So very bad. This would probably be very bad against a token deck, for example. Probably very good against a control deck where they got maybe like a bunch of big stuff, or like Big Warrior. Big Warrior is a better example for using this. This is a great, probably a very good card against Big Warrior because they got a bunch of big stuff. You go to attack the big stuff, and then it gets small, and then it kills. What I don't like is that there's like a 1/1. You want it dead, because otherwise it's going to kill your like 8/1 over there, for an example. Because you don't have a taunt that's blocking your 8/1. You want the 8/1 to live. So you attack the 1/1 with this guy, and then he turns that 1/1 into a 3/3, and then he kills it. Which then is like, you just kind of caused yourself an extra 2 damage there, when he really didn't need to. Which is just, it's just weird. I don't really like that. It's like dark, what's it called? Dark conviction on a minion every single time before he hits it. Which, I mean, can generally be very helpful. Most of the time it's probably going to be very helpful, but there's some of those instances where it's just like, I didn't want it to get bigger, I just wanted it dead. Now he took more damage than he probably needed to. So, I don't know, I'm just not seeing it for this guy. Really not. We got the Twilight Runner, 5 cost, 5/4 beast for druid. It has stealth, and whenever this attacks, you draw 2 cards. I do actually really like this card. You're almost guaranteed to get the first attack off for drawing at least 2 cards with it. Man, throat getting dry. I'm okay. So because of that stealth, it's almost guaranteed to get that first attack off. So you will draw at least 2 cards, and it's a 5 cost 5/4. 5 cost 5/4 is actually a relatively normal stat line for a 5 cost. Plus it's got stealth, which is already good, and you get card draw out of it. This is like one of the strongest card draws I think I've ever seen, or at least for druid. There might be better card draws that I'm not thinking of right now, but this is a really good card draw. Honestly, it really is. You basically get a normal-sized beast with a normal cost and normal stats and normal everything, and you also get 2 cards. Because why not? Because they felt like being generous. Or because Druid was lacking in card draw, I don't know. Druid's got some pretty nice card draws. And Wild. I don't know if they do in Standard. But this is a good freaking card draw. I like it. Like a 5 cost 5/4 is, I think, relatively normal. Maybe a little under 5 cost. Like you got 4 costs. You got 4 costs 4/5, so it can deal with this. But this also has stealth, so it gets the first attack. So very good. What's a normal? 5 cost 5/5 is pretty normal, or 5 cost 5/6. So, I mean, I guess technically a little understandable, but it also has that stealth. So it's like a little stronger Jungle Panther. Jungle Panther is a 3 cost 4/2 beast with stealth. So you give it 1 more attack, 2 more health, and then you also get to draw 2 cards. Basically. I like it. I love it. I'll stop talking about it. Vectus. 5 cost 4/4 neutral legendary. Battlecry, you summon 2 1/1 whelps. Each whelp gains a death rattle from your minions that died this game. Can be pretty useful. Most likely going to go into, like, guessing like Death Rattle Hunter would be the most likely candidate for where it's going to go. But, couldn't tell. Probably. I'm going to go with probably on that. I think it's pretty decent. I think it's more useful in, like, Wild, though. Because, for example, in Wild, you can play Fugan and Stalag, alright? 5 cost 7/4 and 5 cost 4/7. That when both of them are dead, you summon Thaddeus, which is an 11/11. If those are your only 2 death rattles, you play this guy, you get 2 whelps, each with those death rattles. And because Stalag and Fugan are dead, each whelp that dies, when both whelps die, each of them gives an 11-11 Thaddeus. So you basically get 22 worth of extra stats off of this guy. Holy crap. If I open up this guy, I want to try that out. That seems like so much fun. Vile Fiend Trainer, 5 cost, or 4 cost, 5/4. Outcast summon 2 1/1 demons. Fine. Good. Decent. I mean, it seems pretty basic, pretty normal. Fair. Void Drinker. 5 cost, 4/5 demon with taunt and battle cry. Destroy a soul fragment in your deck to gain +3/+3. So if you get this guy on curve with early soul fragments from Soul Jailer that was shown earlier, you can have a 5 cost 7/8 demon on turn 5. Or even on turn 4 if you coin it out, if you started second. If you went second. The words went second sounds better. Go with that. Anyway, that is a big freaking demon. And your opponent only has like 5 or 6 mana to deal with it. When a 7/8 is generally coming around on like turn 8 or 9. I like it. I do see good. I mean, it doesn't really fit into anything, but it's just so strong that it might just go into a deck that maybe needs some more power. Again, if a Soul Fragment deck becomes a thing, this guy's an easy shoo-in, though, too. Alright, so we got a Precarious Reader. 2 cost, 1/3. At the end of your turn, you draw until you have 3 cards. So it could be good for an aggressive deck, even though the card itself is not aggressive. It just keeps your hand full to play stuff constantly. Basically is an option that you could go with it. It can just be a useful card draw, just flat out, where you just kind of play everything in your hand until you just have this left in your hand, and then you play it, and then you draw some cards at the end of your turn. I think this is relatively fine. Obviously, it's understated for a 2 cost, but that's because the card draw can be so strong in this instant, especially. So, I don't mind it. I kind of like this card. Alright. My nose. I'm gonna, like, sneeze. I'll be okay, though. Alright, so we got a Vorpura Toxin Blade. That's what I'm calling it. 3 cost, 3/3. Your weapon has +2 attack for rogue. Normal, basic, 3 cost, 3/3 is not the normal stat line for a 3 cost. It is actually a little under. Used to be pretty normal for the stat line, but it is a little under. Normal is like a 3 cost 3/4 now, or 3 cost 4/3 is more normal. Does the text make up for it? Weapon having 2 attack? I'd argue probably not, because rogues don't care. Rogues go through weapons constantly, and plus this minion it's only useful if it stays on the board. And because it's also got that little bit of understated stats, it doesn't stick to the board as well anymore either. It'd be better to be like a 3 cost 2/4 2/5 instead of a 3/3. It just doesn't stick well enough to maybe get too much use out of that effect. So I'm going to argue it's not that great. Maybe not trash, but like, you might just keep it around if you got no other real options. Okay, we got Wand Maker. Battlecry, add a 1-cost spell from your class to your hand. A 2-cost 2/2 neutral. It's fine. Pretty basic, pretty simple. Get a little value out of the Battlecry for the understat for a 2-cost. I don't mind it. I think it's pretty fair. The Wave of Apathy. A 1-cost dual-class spell for Paladin or Priest. Set the attack of all enemy minions to 1 until your next turn. I do really think this card is pretty darn good. I like this card. It's pretty strong. Like, it's until your next turn, too, so your opponent still has to deal with their minions being at 1 attack. So it's like they can't do much on their turn, and you were able to deal with whatever you were probably hoping to deal with on that turn then, too. So it's just a double whammy. And this is only 1. This is ridiculous for 1. I would think this would maybe be like something at like 2 maybe, but no, it's 1. Warple Tinger. I'm not even sure what this thing is. It's okay, I'm gonna try to explain it. So it's like a bunny, big. It's not even like beaver teeth because they're like sharp. It's like vampire teeth. I'm gonna go with vampire teeth. It has got wings from a unicorn, and then it's got horns. Like, they're not really like antlers though. They're not antlers because they're more like reddish. They're like horns, like devils. I am so freaking confused on what the heck this is even supposed to be. Anyway, it's a 1-cost hunter minion that is a 1/1 beast and has a battle cry of summoning a copy of itself. It's kind of like Alley Cat, obviously, where Alley Cat has a battle cry of summoning a 1/1 cat. This is like Alley Cat, except it's very, very slightly better, where if you buff it, the copy is also buffed, but you're really probably not gonna buff it much, because Hunter does have buffing options in your hand, but not that many as far as I'm remembering. So really, it's about like an Alley Cat, but slightly better. Wormweaver, 5-cost, 3/6, mage minion with Spellburst, summon 2/1/3 mana worms. Love it. Love this card. You get mana worms, which then when you're playing spells, they get better. I wonder if this brings back some sort of Temple Mage, or if Temple Mage is still too slow, because mana worms still do cost 2. They're not 1 anymore. But I think this is a very good card. Like, getting just 2 mana worms, because you cast a spell, it's just freaking great. I think it's awesome. And that's a lot. You can have 2 of these runs, so you can get 4 mana worms, and then you can play 2 mana worms in your deck, so you can have a total of like 6 mana worms if you really feel like it. Because you can't have too many mana worms. And then you can also, and if you're playing wild, you can also play 2 red mana worms. But then you can have like 8 mana worms. There's so many mana worms. Just a party, really, at that point. That's it. We end with the mana worms, because you can never have too many mana worms in your life, because they will eat your mana. And they can be good. I don't know if I really have too much more to say. Just kind of rambling on at this point. That's going to be it for this preview. I will start working on the reviews as quickly as possible. I just have to quickly throw it together. Oh, I should also mention how that's going to be done. So it's going to be the normal 10, for sure 10, so each video, man, I haven't explained, let me explain this, and then does a terrible job at explaining it. So the first few videos out, so it's going to be the classes. Each class will have their own video. And then the dual class cards will have their own separate video. And then it will be the neutrals will be last. So dual class will be right before the neutrals. And then the class cards are before the dual class. And all the class cards, I don't know the exact order. I'd have to look at how I have it set up again. Just like I never have the exact same classes in the same order. It's just generally however Blizzard releases them is the newest, is the first few cards that they release, whichever class specific ones they are generally like the first ones that I talk about then, because I put them in that order then. So like if you go back to like the oldest classes for this set, you'll know which one I'm talking about, but I'd have to look back because I don't remember. But the class ones will be fairly short because of the dual class. So the class cards, I think there's only like, there's got to be like only 4 or 5 or 6 of them, because some of their spots were taken up by the dual class stuff. So I'll see you for that then, as soon as that comes out. See you then.